Dear chosen ones, something's been happening in your sleep, and it's not random. You've been waking up with a strange feeling you can't name, like something just ended or something just began. The room feels heavier or quieter. You remember flashes from your dreams that don't make sense but somehow feel too real to ignore. A deep ocean, a snake watching from the shadows, a door that shouldn't be there and yet it was. Here's the truth most people miss. When your body shuts down, your spirit wakes up. Because God often speaks in silence, and he uses dreams to reach the ones ready to hear. For God does speak now one way, now another, though no one perceives it. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on people. Job 33:14-15. You're not dreaming by chance. Heaven doesn't waste messages on empty nights. There's a reason you remember what others forget. A reason you feel what others shrug off. Because not everyone is meant to understand these dreams. Only a few are chosen to see beyond the surface, to catch glimpses of what's being revealed in the unseen. Surely the sovereign Lord does nothing without revealing his plan to his servants, the prophets. Amos 3:7. Yes, you are being shown something. Your dreams are not confusion. Their communication, a personal download from heaven wrapped in symbols and signs waiting to be understood. And if you're still here, it's not coincidence, it's confirmation. This message found you for a reason. In this video, we're going to uncover 7 dreams God uses to speak directly to his chosen messages wrapped in mystery that carry spiritual instruction, warnings, and breakthroughs. And once you understand them, you will never see sleep the same way again. But pay attention, because the moment you skip, you might miss a message meant only for you. Now, as you step forward into this divine role, I invite you to declare your readiness. Type Amen in the comments below as a sign of your acceptance, as a bold statement that you are ready to step into your God-given purpose. And to every one of you who has taken the time to comment, to leave a prayer, to show your agreement and faith, thank you. Even though we can't respond to everyone individually, know this. Your journey is seen. You are not walking alone. God's protection and guidance are with you always. And make sure you stay with me until the very end, because we'll be closing with a powerful prayer for today. Now let's begin. Chosen one, if water has been appearing in your dreams, pay attention not just with your memory, but with your spirit. Because in the language of heaven, water is not just a symbol, it's a sacred conversation. Sometimes it crashes through your sleep like a tidal wave. You find yourself drowning, gasping, pulled under by invisible forces. That's not a nightmare, that's divine diagnosis. What you're seeing is the storm inside. The grief you've silenced, the betrayal you never spoke of, the guilt you never let surface. You're not weak, you're overwhelmed. And like Jonah, who sank into the depths when running from his assignment, you're being swallowed not to be punished, but to be redirected. The waters closed in over me to take my life, yet you brought up my life from the pit, O Lord my God. Jonah 2:56. That water isn't your end, it's your turning point. Because even when you feel like you're drowning, God is still reaching. He is calling you back to the shore of yourself, whole, seen, forgiven. But not all water comes as chaos. Sometimes you dream of stillness. A lake so calm it feels holy. Waters so clear they reflect your face like glass. That's more than peace. It's spiritual alignment. The whisper of heaven saying, "You're in the current of my will. Stay there, even if the world around you is shaking." It's what David spoke of when he said, "He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul." Psalm 23:23. Then there are the in-between dreams, storms that rise, waves that crash, water pulling you toward places you can't see. You're not in danger. You're in transition. That's the Red Sea moment, the place between bondage and breakthrough, where the sea didn't part until Moses stepped in. And God may be asking you to step forward, even when the path looks flooded. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. Isaiah 43:2. Because that storm isn't trying to drown you. It's trying to wash off everything you're no longer meant to carry. Water in a dream is more than emotion. It's divine reflection. It doesn't just show you what's happening. It shows you where your resistance is, where you're fighting the flow of God, where you're trying to stay dry when He's inviting you to be fully immersed. And here's the part most people miss. How you react to water in your dream mirrors. How you respond to God in your waking life. Do you fight it, try to contain it, fear it, or do you trust the current? Because the dream isn't just an image, it's a question, and God is still waiting for your answer. So the next time water floods your sleep, whether calm or crushing, don't ask, "What does this mean?" Ask, "Lord, what are you trying to lead me into that my fear is keeping me from?" Let that question take root, because what comes next is deeper still. If water reveals your soul, then what comes next reveals your surroundings. What's been moving in the shadows while you've been focused on the light? There's a reason this next dream doesn't come soft or subtle. When a serpent slithers into your sleep, it isn't just a symbol, it's a spiritual signal. You're not being haunted, you're being warned. Serpent dreams are not random. They are alerts from the unseen realm, messages that bypass your logic and go straight to your spirit. Because snakes don't speak, they signal. And when they appear, it's often because your spirit already knows something your mind isn't ready to admit. If you've been bitten in the dream, the venom isn't physical, it's emotional. That sting you felt, it could be jealousy disguised as friendship, gossip wrapped in concern, or betrayal hidden behind a familiar face. This is spiritual warfare clothed in human behavior, and the location of the bite matters. A bite to the hand. The enemy is targeting your gifting, your calling, the work God has trusted you with. A bite to the foot. Your direction, your next step is under attack. The enemy knows he can't stop what God has ordained. But if he can poison the path, he can delay your arrival. Sometimes the snake doesn't bite at all. Sometimes it hides under the bed, in the grass, behind someone you love. It isn't a nightmare. It's spiritual surveillance. It means someone close to you may be unknowingly or knowingly a channel the enemy is using to reach you. Not everyone near you is for you. Even Judas sat at the same table as Jesus. This isn't said to create paranoia, but to stir discernment. God allows these serpent dreams not to terrify, but to train. He's activating the radar within you, the gift of spiritual sensing, so you stop trusting only appearances and start testing the spirit behind the smile. Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. 1 John 4:1. And what if in your dream you killed the snake? Don't brush past that moment. That was not just a dream, it was a victory. While your body rested, your spirit fought. And you didn't just survive, you overcame. You will tread on the lion and the cobra. You will trample the great lion and the serpent. Psalm 91-13. That wasn't just protection, it was deliverance. A silent battle in the spiritual realm where heaven stood with you and hell backed off. And here's a truth few want to admit. Some of the people who cheer for you in public are praying for your failure in private. Some "God bless you" are camouflage curses. And your dream might be the only place God can pull back the veil. So when the serpent appears, don't panic, don't run. You've already been equipped. Ask instead, "Lord, who in my life carries quiet venom? And what are you teaching me to see beyond the surface?" Because what's coming next requires clearer vision. And your spirit is being trained for the days ahead. If the serpent dreams reveal what's hiding in the shadows, then door dreams reveal what heaven is trying to release. And not just to you, but through you. When a door appears in your dream, it isn't just architecture. It's a message wrapped in metaphor, a divine checkpoint between who you've been and who you're becoming. It's the moment your soul steps into the conversation between heaven's timing and your readiness. Because in the spiritual realm, doors aren't just entries. They are assignments. Whether the door is wide open, locked shut, cracked, or strangely absent, every detail is speaking. God is trying to show you what's next, but also what's needed from you in order to enter it. If the door is open, be careful not to assume ease means arrival. An open door is not just opportunity, it's examination. You're walking into a room that the old you prayed for in pain, and now the healed version of you is being tested not just on faith, but on follow-through. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word. Revelation 3-8. The door is there, but obedience is still the key. Now, if the door is locked, don't rush to disappointment. This isn't punishment. It might be protection. God doesn't deny to be cruel. He withholds to preserve. You may be asking for something sacred while still carrying things that would defile it. Remember Hannah in the Bible? For years, her womb was closed, not because she was forgotten, but because the timing wasn't right. When Samuel came, he wasn't just a son. He was a prophet for generations. The locked door delayed her breakthrough to align it with eternal impact. Sometimes the locked door is God saying, "I love you too much to answer that." Prayer too soon. But if the door in your dream is broken, damaged, kicked in, forced open, then it's time to go deeper. This is a spiritual security alert. It means something or someone has tried to access a part of your destiny illegally. It could be manipulation, witchcraft, false influence, or even your own self-sabotage. The breach didn't come through the front. It came through compromise. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. John 10:10. But here's the good news. The moment God shows you the breach, He's giving you the authority to shut it down. Then there's the dream, where you're just standing in front of the door, not opening it, not walking away, just standing frozen, afraid, uncertain. And here's the deeper truth. Sometimes the dream isn't about the door at all. It's about your internal readiness. You've been praying for a future you haven't actually prepared to step into. It's like the Israelites standing at the edge of the promised land. The door was wide open, but only 2 out of 12 had the faith to walk through. Not because the promise was small, but because the fear in their minds was louder than the call on their lives. So if you keep dreaming of that hallway, that handle, that door with something mysterious behind it, stop asking what's behind the door. Start asking, Lord, do I have the faith to walk through what I once begged you to send? Because access doesn't begin at the hinge, it begins in your heart. Now listen closely, because this next kind of dream isn't about a place or a symbol, it's about life itself. And if you've seen it, what you've encountered isn't just imagery, it's destiny in its rawest form. When a baby appears in your dream, heaven isn't speaking in metaphors of cuteness or sentiment. You're not being reminded of innocence. You're being called into responsibility. A baby in a dream is a divine code, a sign that something has been conceived in your spirit long before it ever takes shape in your reality. It could be a calling, a vision, a ministry, a movement. Whatever it is, it's sacred. It's not just yours, it's entrusted to you. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. That's the blueprint of spiritual inheritance. And when the baby shows up in your dream, it means part of that inheritance is moving from the unseen to the seen through you. You may be holding that baby in your arms, and it feels small, quiet, dependent. But don't be deceived by size. What you're holding may look fragile now, but it has the potential to shake systems, break generational curses, and establish new foundations. Just like Moses, born in a time of slaughter, yet hidden by faith and raised to deliver a nation. But here's the truth. Just because the baby is in your arms doesn't mean it's safe. You still have to protect it. You still have to nourish it. You still have to fight for it, especially when no one else sees its value. And if the baby is crying in your dream, that cry is not just background noise. It's a call from heaven. It means you've delayed, you've doubted, you've ignored the tug of the Spirit. You've convinced yourself that you're not capable, not ready, not equipped. But the cry is heaven's reminder. This cannot wait any longer. God is calling for your yes, not your perfection, just your surrender. Now, if the baby is abandoned, if it's alone or neglected, this is urgent because it means something you were meant to carry has been left unattended. It could be a dream you've shelved, a gift you've buried, a purpose you've tried to forget, but God hasn't forgotten. And like the parable of the talents in Matthew 25, what you bury doesn't disappear. It either multiplies under stewardship or dies under fear. This isn't about physical parenthood. It's about spiritual legacy. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That tension, that pressure, that ache that doesn't have a name. The feeling that something is growing inside you that you didn't create, but you can't ignore. You've tried to explain it, but no one seems to understand. That's because this is not for everyone. This is yours, and here's what few understand. The enemy isn't panicking about who you are now. He's terrified of what you're carrying, the calling you haven't stepped into yet, the breakthrough that hasn't been born. That's why the warfare increased. That's why the attacks came while you slept. Because something is about to emerge, and hell always strikes hardest before heaven delivers. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. Romans 8:22. Yes, even creation feels the weight of what's inside of you. So if the baby appears again in your dream, don't dismiss it. Don't fear it. Don't overanalyze it. Don't ask, "What is this?" Instead, ask God, "How do I raise what you just birthed in me?" Because what's coming through you isn't just about you. It's about every life your obedience will impact. Now, we enter the space where the line between the visible and invisible begins to blur, where the past doesn't just echo, it knocks. And not every knock is holy. There are dreams that speak softly, and then there are dreams that cut through the silence like a blade. When someone who has passed from this life appears in your sleep, you're not simply remembering them. You're being drawn into a deeper, spiritual encounter, a moment where the natural and the eternal brush against one another. This is not always nostalgia. It's not just grief resurfacing in the night. Sometimes it's God using the face of someone familiar to access the part of you still tender, still open, still listening. In your waking life, your guard is up. But in your dreams, your soul becomes a sanctuary where messages can reach you that your mind would normally filter out or forget. Maybe the person said a single sentence. Maybe they looked at you without speaking, and their silence felt heavier than any words could. Maybe they didn't say anything at all, but you woke up with tears in your eyes and a weight in your spirit that you couldn't explain. It isn't mere emotion, it's communication. God might be healing something ancient, closing a chapter that never found its last page, or transferring a truth to you that was too sacred for daylight. Your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. Joel 2:28. But not every dream is divine. Some are ancestral alarms, reminders that a generational war is being brought to your doorstep. You're not just someone's descendant. You're the one chosen to break cycles, end patterns, and rewrite bloodlines with faith instead of fear. Yet you must know this. Not every presence that appears in your dreams comes from God. The enemy too wears familiar faces. He mimics comfort. He counterfeits closure. He wears masks woven from memory. Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light, too. Corinthians 11:14. So how do you tell the difference? It's not in the words that were spoken, it's in what the dream leaves behind. If you wake up with peace, if the air feels clearer, if you sense conviction, not condemnation, then heaven touched you. But if the dream leaves you disoriented, obsessed, afraid, or if it lingers like smoke with no fire, then it wasn't sent to help you. It was sent to confuse, distract, and dismantle. This is where discernment becomes your strongest weapon. You can't navigate these dreams with sentiment. You must walk in spiritual authority. Like Samuel in the night hearing his name called, you must ask, "Lord, was that you, or something wearing the memory of someone I once loved?" Because chosen ones are not just dreamers. We are gatekeepers. We carry not just vision, but responsibility. And in the dream realm, not every spirit deserves entry. Now we step into the kind of dream that doesn't come gently. It doesn't whisper. It hits. It pulls you out of sleep with force. It shakes your heart. It steals your breath. You were falling. No symbols, no slow build-up, just a sudden drop like the floor disappeared under your feet. You wake up shocked, confused, maybe scared. But here's the truth. This isn't just anxiety. It's not your mind spinning out. It's your spirit being interrupted. Sometimes God allows you to fall in a dream not to punish you, but to wake you up to something deeper. Maybe you've been holding on too tightly to something, a job, a relationship, a role, or even a version of yourself that no longer fits where God is trying to take you. You've been trying to stay in control, but here's the thing. Some things were never meant to be carried alone, and when we try to hold on to something that God is asking us to release, eventually it starts slipping. That dream, the fall, is not just about fear. It's a sign that something is shifting. God is shaking loose the things that were never meant to define you. Because if you don't let them go, they could end up breaking you. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does them is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. But everyone who hears them and does not do them is like a foolish man who built his house on sand. Matthew 7:24-27. Sometimes the fall is God's way of tearing down what was built on sand before it crumbles on top of you. But here's the beautiful part. He doesn't let you hit the ground. He catches you just like he did for Peter. Peter started to sink when he looked at the waves instead of Jesus. But Jesus didn't let him drown. He reached out and pulled him up, not to shame him, but to show him, "You're still safe with me." Falling in a dream can feel scary, but it's not always danger. Sometimes it's growth. Sometimes it means God is helping you let go of ego, pride, fear, or false strength, so he can rebuild something stronger, something true. So the question isn't, why am I falling? The real question is, what have I built my life on that God is now asking me to rebuild with him at the center? Because the fall isn't the end, it's the start of something more solid. But here's where it gets even more intense. After the fall, maybe you still feel watched, like something is in the room even when you're alone. You can't explain it, but you feel it. Something is looking at you. That feeling, it's not just fear. It's awareness. It's your spirit waking up to the fact that once God begins to strip away what doesn't belong, the enemy notices. And now that you've let go of what was false, you've become dangerous to darkness. Because when the walls fall and the masks drop and the fake foundations crack, only one thing stays standing. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my rescuer. Psalm 18:2. The fall wasn't your failure, it was God's mercy. And the moment you wake up from that fall, shaken but alive, he's already whispering, "Now we rebuild together." Prepare yourself, because the final dream doesn't jolt your body. It shifts the atmosphere around you. It doesn't crash in with sound or symbols. Instead, it arrives in silence with a weight, a knowing, a presence that wraps around you like air turned heavy. In the dream, there's no monster, no fire, no fall. And yet something is watching, not a person, not a creature, something unseen, but absolutely real. You look around and see nothing, but your soul knows. You are being observed, judged, measured, known. This is not fear. This is spiritual awareness. You've crossed into a new spiritual dimension where your presence has triggered the attention of both heaven and hell. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness. Ephesians 6:12. You've been marked, and when you carry divine purpose, the spirit realm responds. Angels are tracking your growth. Darkness is analyzing your weakness. Even the air around you seems to know you've become visible to the invisible. But here's what most people miss. You're not being watched because you're weak. You're being watched because you're dangerous. Your spiritual authority is rising, your obedience has weight, and your next move, it could shift generations. This dream is not a warning, it's a briefing. God is letting you know you've been activated. Just like Elisha's servant in 2 Kings 6. When he panicked at the enemy army, God opened his eyes, and he saw the hills filled with horses and chariots of fire. He realized he wasn't outnumbered. He was backed by heaven. You too are seen not just by the enemy, but by God's armies. So if the dream leaves you feeling exposed, it's because you are. Your light is showing. Your life has become a signal tower visible to both realms. But you don't need to run. You were born for this. The dream doesn't mean you're in danger. It means you've stepped into your role. You've been seen, and now it's time to stand. Now that you've seen the patterns, the symbols, and the whispers of heaven that visit in the night, it's time to do more than just remember your dreams. It's time to live from them. God isn't simply trying to speak to you while you sleep. He's preparing you to walk differently while you're awake. These dreams are not entertainment. They are spiritual blueprints, wake-up calls, sacred briefings tailored for your calling. Each one invites you to move, not just emotionally, but intentionally. If you've dreamed of water, then ask yourself where you need to surrender. Begin your mornings in prayer, asking God to reveal what you've been resisting. If the serpent has slithered through your night, examine your relationships. Pray for discernment and don't ignore your intuition. It may be your spirit speaking truth that your mind can't yet name. If you've seen doors, take inventory of your current decisions. What are you trying to force open? What are you afraid to walk through? Ask God for the courage to wait or the strength to move. If the baby has appeared, it's time to revisit what you've neglected. Write down the vision, the gift, the burden you've been carrying in secret, and start nurturing it again, even in small steps. And if the presence of the past has visited you, don't rush past it. Ask the Holy Spirit if there's unfinished healing, unspoken forgiveness, or generational purpose waiting to be embraced. These are not just dreams. They are divine assignments. And if you felt the fall, if you felt exposed, shaken, or spiritually observed, know that you're not crazy. You're being called higher. God doesn't waste the weight of your night. He uses it to shape the clarity of your days. So walk with intention, stay alert, write your dreams down, pray over them, pay attention to patterns, be slow to dismiss and quick to seek wisdom. You are being trained, you are being refined, you are being seen. And what comes next will not just impact you, it will impact every life connected to your obedience. Before we end today's message, I want to pray over you, the one who's been dreaming, questioning, sensing, and seeking. This prayer is for your clarity, your calling, your protection, and your spiritual growth. Let's come before God together. Father God, we come before you with open hearts and lifted hands, fully aware that you are speaking louder than ever before. Not always through thunder or fire, but often through silence, symbols, and the sacred stillness of sleep. Thank you for choosing to speak to us in ways the world overlooks.